Hi there, it's me, Brett Fish Anderson, and we are continuing this Race With Me series. And today we're going to be looking at the concept of changing up the voices that inform you. So today we're going to be looking at a thought that says, change up the voices that inform you. And it's all about asking, who are you reading? Who are you watching? Who are you listening to? Who are the people that mentor you? Who are the role models that you look to in terms of deciding how you spend your money, in terms of deciding how you do business, things like that. I want to start with a quote from a friend of mine, Sisonke, who said, "To explore diversity, one must depart from the dominant narratives that monopolize our everyday social realities. It is important to wonder about the possibilities that may arise when one departs from the knowledge platforms or knowledge propelled by dominant narratives, to embark on a journey of learning from knowledge that is not part of the dominant narrative." Now, maybe one of the biggest ways that I've been transformed in the past 10 years, especially as I've kind of leaned into this race work, came as a result of a challenge that my wife Val and I got when we were spending some time in America. And we heard this line, "Read people who don't look like you." And so until that point, and I'd never made this a conscious choice. I never once went out and thought, let me go find a book that is written by a middle-aged white Christian male. That was never kind of an intentional thing I did. And yet the majority of the books I read, if not all of them, were written by a middle-aged white Christian male. Because those were the people I knew, because those were the people that I hung out with, those were the people they recommended. And so the challenge came to me to start reading women. And I stumbled upon my absolutely new favorite, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, who wrote Americana and a number of other books. And I absolutely love pretty much every word she writes. She just has such a phenomenal gift. And even though Terry Pratchett is still up there as my number one, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie is right up there because her writing is just phenomenal. Other women that I discovered were Sisonke and Msimang, Austin Channing Brown, Nadia Bolz, Michelle Alexander, and a bunch of others. I started also reading people of other races, so Steve Biko, Stephen Lungi, Desmond Tutu, and others. And even people of other faiths and backgrounds. So two that I read were Elias, Chacour, and Naim, Ateeek. And they both wrote on the Palestine-Israel conflict. And until that time, I knew it was a thing. I knew it was an important thing politically, and everyone had big thoughts and ideas and perspectives on it. But I didn't actually, honestly, really know what was going on. And so I read a couple of books by people of different faith, just explaining what was going on and sharing different perspectives. And so I feel like, even though I'm not an expert in that field by any regards, I have a bit of an idea on it. And so I started to get exposed to many different ideas and stories and even ways of thinking by taking up this challenge. And I really cannot recommend it enough. If we only ever read, watch, or listen to people who tend to think and look like us, then we will largely end up backing the narratives that we already know and believe. And so just confirming the things we already know. We won't be challenged, we won't be changed, we won't get different viewpoints and be able to even strengthen the views and ideas that we have. And so how refreshing to read somebody that thinks differently from you and know that you don't have to absolutely agree with everything they say. It's not about, I'm reading a black person, so I need to absolutely agree with it. I'm reading a woman, so I need to absolutely agree with everything she says. No, it's just giving me different perspectives. It's just giving me ideas. And when I find a point that I disagree with or that I'm struggling with, it brings up questions in me. Why? Why do I not believe that? Why do I struggle with this idea? And that helps me to hopefully think and be challenged and grow. Sisonke extends his narrative. He says, start eating from a different menu, reading from a different story, a story of those who are not in power. Example, find a mentor outside of your class, race, and knowledge base. For example, if you are a DA supporting white male, find a mentor or at least a friend to learn from from the other side of the railway track. So, for example, an EFF supporting blackmail. Where you choose to get your news from, who you choose to follow on social media, the podcasts you choose to listen to, and even the series and the movies that you watch. If these are all completely white people or filled with white people, then you start to look at it and you start to think that that is the norm, that that is the only way. And so even with movies and series, take something like Dear White People on Netflix or the movie Crazy Rich Asians, and just watch something from a different perspective. Parasite won Best Picture. That's quite a hectic movie. But just start to experience and visualize and gather empathy for people who see things differently and experience things differently. All of these things really inform us deeply, and so it's really helpful for us to switch these things up, because then we will start to look at the world differently, and we will slowly start to understand other people's perspectives and ways of seeing the world. On a recent trip to Durban a couple of years ago, I put out an ask on Facebook, can anyone give me a ride from the airport to my sister's house? And I was picked up at the airport by a Muslim ANC councillor, Ashraf Kader. And Ashraf and I had been friends on Facebook for a while, but I'd never met him. And so we got to spend 40 minutes in the car heading back to my sister's house and just getting such a fresh perspective of his life as an ANC councillor, his life as a Muslim, what were the things that he was involved in, what were the things that he was passionate about, what was consuming his energy at the moment. And that was such a life-transforming drive. Just 40 minutes, but it really changed my life and challenged my ideas on a whole bunch of things. Be okay to sit with uncomfortable thoughts and ideas, because that's the thing. Once you start reading people that aren't like you, you're going to come across some ideas that are seen from a very different perspective. Be okay with being uncomfortable with sitting some of those things. Again, you don't have to take them on just because you read them, but start experiencing them, start inviting them, start listening to them, start trying to see a different perspective. There is so much wealth on offer, but it starts with an intentionality of choices made. So who are the people that you listen to? Who are the voices that are informing you? Start making steps to change those up, to reflect people that don't just look like you, or maybe the people you've always listened to or looked to for advice and leading and understanding and role modeling. This, if you are intentionally on a journey of anti-racism, this is one of the things that is just going to have such a huge impact in your life. Thanks for watching. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe, share this with your friends, tag people in it, have conversations. Let's get talking on these things and race with me.